Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of the Mage podcast that I did with Xaryu and Ziqo. If you're just from my channel, you can check out part 1 on Xaryu's channel and part 2 on Zico's channel, which will all be listed here. It's about a 2-hour kind of podcast about all things player versus player for Mage, going over all the covenants, all the legendaries, all the specs, what we like, what we don't like. I thought it was a really great conversation, and I'm excited for y'all to check it out if you're interested. But yeah, this is part 3. Remember, if you want to check out part 1, go to Xaryu's channel. Part 2, Zico's channel, and if you're just joining me for part 3, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this conversation. And I think that rotationally feels way worse and is way less fun. You're never going to want to shatter your frostbolts, which sucks.
Yeah, and so basically what that means too is every time you're getting that flurry, you're pressing escape or moving your spacebar, however you cancel cast. Every time you're getting that flurry, you're just canceling your frostbolt, just flurry. Like, it just doesn't feel good. So I'm hoping that'll change. Yeah, I'm hoping, I have some faith that'll change, hopefully before launch, to where that's not the case, and that we get those 2 flurry procs after, or 2 brain freeze procs after every flurry tick, so that the frostbolt will crit, and then we still get those 2 ice lances to follow up that burst, right?
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to talk about something. This is really important. This just randomly came in my head, and I thought about it a lot today. So one thing about Arcane that I love, one of the best changes to Arcane that I really enjoy playing with, I play with it all the time. My favorite thing they added was Master of Time. Master of Time is really, really interesting. Mm-hmm. It's a talent that reduces the cooldown of your altar time by 30 seconds. So you have a 30-second altar time, and every single time you use your altar time, or like you rewind time, it resets your blink. So you can do really fun things like, let's say a rogue opens on you and you blink, and then you use your altar time, and he's chasing you doing a bunch of damage, and you reset, then you reset your blink as well. Yep. So it's like kind of like it's kind of like displacement a little bit, not entirely, but in terms of like your overall defensive capabilities and like freeing yourself from stuns, I think it's amazing. And I actually think it's one of the first times we're ever going to see something actually compete with Shimmer. Like there's actually a talent they added on that row that people are going to pick pretty often, I would say. And I think that's a really good thing. And I think that's something we need to see for Frost and Fire, I was thinking, because I actually really like Arcane already. I don't think it would ever really feel super great with Blazing Speed, just because you have Chrono Shift, you're already sprinting the entire game. You have a lot of defense with the spec in general, but I think Blazing Speed would fit really, really nicely in that slot for Fire and Frost and give you an option to actually play with Blink.
I really feel like the only time I will pick that talent is if it's against Zero Dispel comp. I don't think I'm ever picking it unless it's like a Warrior Mistweaver or something. If your ulti gets dispelled, you can't do anything. And like if you get tunneled as well, like let's say a rogue open on you, you have to blink, right? And if you blink, then the only thing you can do is instantly alter and cancel it again, right?
Yeah, and then you have another blink.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only thing you can do with it in that scenario. If you like use it and run, he's gonna kidney you before it ends.
I think there's a lot. Honestly, playing with it a lot, I think it's. I actually think it's really good. Like playing with it in not just arena. Like when I play with it in 2s or duels or like BGs, I think it's a really fun talent. I think it's super good.
I mean more in an arena setting.
I think there's some utility in 2s, specifically if there's no purge, right? So the best case is like against Mistweaver Sub-Rogue or something, right? I mean, that's just going to be the best talent ever.
Yeah, it's going to be broken against
Yeah, and then in a duel against a Rogue, best talent ever, right? Every stun, you just blink alter, and like, I mean, there's some use cases where it's incredible. I think in 3s, I think Shimmer's still probably lock-in, but to Venruki's point, it is the first talent that we've seen, like, kind of contend Shimmer. Like, in a Rogue Mage Mirror, if you're dying, this is going to make you not die. You can blink the stun and alter. They have to spend time purging. If they don't get it instantly, you go back and you have another blink. If you're dying, it's going to make you not die. So it is an interesting pick nonetheless on whether or not it's actually going to be the metagame. It's really cool to look at.
I don't think you're always going to play it, but I mean, imagine you're playing against like a Mistweaver TSG, and you have a 30-second alter time, and you have blink, and your blink gets reset when you use alter time. I think like something like that is going to have way more value than Shimmer.
I think there's going to be matchups for sure. You pick it. I just think those matchups are going to be like kind of niche moments or like
Yeah.
maybe that often, at least in threes. But I don't know. I think maybe with like the Covenant blinks, it's for sure makes it more appealing to like lose Shimmer in general. I think if you have like your Covenant, like your Ventir teleport, it doesn't hurt as bad losing Shimmer because you can still like use that to set up CC and stuff like that, and then you can get away with having the short altar. So maybe like it plays out that way, but I feel like Shimmer right now, like for getting CC, you kind of have to use it.
Yeah, I think unfortunately we're kind of at this metagame where since every other class has so much mobility, having Shimmer to land a polymorph is almost essential. And that's actually another thing that I want to talk about today. So Venruki has a character named Best Mobility, and he's just flying across the map, getting on any target he wants to. And I wanted to kind of talk about mobility creep a little bit and how Mage fits into that, because for mages, there was like once upon a time, mages were that class. It was like, wow, mobility kings, like in classic WoW, you're kiting, nothing can hit you, right? I think in 2020, maybe a little bit different, right? Maybe a little bit different for mages. First, Venruki, what do you think about mage mobility right now in terms of a tier list? Where do mages stand against every other class in the game in terms of mobility?
In every other class in the game, I think they would be surprising. Like I think people would be surprised outside of Arcane. I think Arcane with Chrono Shift is really, really mobile and slow. But I think in general, like fire mages are really, really immobile, as well as frost mages. And there's a lot of people when they hear that it's like, what are you talking about? Are you joking me? Like, but in terms of mobility, you actually really are limited. They changed Shimmer to be a 25-second cooldown up from 20. So you have your Shimmer, which is the equivalent of anyone using like a roll or a shadow step or a dash or a grip on a DK. Like basically melee have 100% uptime on you unless you're getting like external peels or you use both of your Shimmers at the same time. But I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how you fix that. I don't think you can fix that at this point. I think it's pretty clear that they like classes being mobile for Mythic Plus and raids because it allows them to create more interesting like movement mechanics within the fight. So I don't think we're ever going to get to a spot where it's like classic where a mage is just kiting a melee the whole game. You know what I mean? And I think that's why you see classes like Warlock, you see classes like Shadow Priest, and you see classes like Mage be so tanky because they have to be. You can't kite, you can't get away. So either option one, melee are on you the entire game and you just die immediately, and it's not going to be fun at all. Or melee are on you the entire game. This is option two, melee are on you the entire game, but you're a tank and you just can't die. And I think that's what we kind of saw in BFA.
Yeah, so I think there's kind of like this arms race with mobility, right? Like we have so many classes having more mobility, like a rogue just being able to vanish and then shadow strike to a target and then step to a target again, sprint to a target, cloak of shadows a root. I mean, it becomes very, very difficult to start kiting these classes unless you're Arcane and you have Chrono Shift. And Chrono Shift's just one of those abilities just one of the best abilities in the game. It has that 50% slow and the 50% sprint, which is phenomenal. But if we're talking about fire, we're talking about frost, they're severely lacking in mobility. So what do you do about that, right? So like, I guess the question is then, where do we go from here? If the mobility feels so lacking, you either are super tanky or you get maybe more mobility or you get more tools. And I think Arcane already has those tools set in place with Chrono Shift, with Temp Shield, Alter. It feels maybe okay. Master of Time, like we were touching on, maybe Arcane already has those tools. But what about Fire? What about Frost? This is where we start looking at options like Blazing Speed, Deep Freeze, abilities that we've maybe seen before. Should these be reintroduced? Ziqo. Yes.
Give us Blazing Speed baseline. Put Deep in the same tier as Shimmer. Actually, just remove Shimmer completely and put Deep there instead. And that's it. I don't know how that would work for PvE.
What about the other specs too, like Arcane and Frost? Or Fire, rather. You think Fire should have Deep Freeze?
Everyone should have Deep Freeze. We're the only class in the game that doesn't have a stun. Give me a stun. You know how annoying it is? Hodge the healer. Hodge the healer. Who? Oh, you got a line.
Dude, you need a new paladin, bro. I'm not kidding.
Bro, because they don't know how to press Hodge, man. And it's annoying. And these sub rogues as well, they're just complaining. Like, I shoot their target, go stun everything. I'm just sitting here waiting, you know? Give me my deep freeze so I can press it. You
Yeah.
know?
So just for
No, but
everyone,
I do think every spec should get it. And I do think we should have Blazing Speed and lose Shimmer. Because I don't think, like, starting casting a poly on one side of the map and then double blinking to the other side and cheaping a healer behind a pillar, I don't think there's too much counterplay there. And I don't think there's that much counterplay for a deep sheep either. And I feel like deep is more fun. So give us deep.
so for everyone listening, we
Yeah.
have no stun as a mage, and every other class in the entire game has a stun, right? Druid, Bash, Rogue, Kidney, Cheap Shot, Warrior, Stormbolt. Every single class in the game has a stun except Mage. So Mage is like the only one without it. So it really begs the question, why? I'm willing to kind of like go middle of the road here. So Arcane has Master of Time, Chrono Shift, Alter, Temp. It has a lot of mobility. It feels
Mass Invis.
Mass Invis. It feels like it has a lot of utility. It has a lot of tools, and it maybe is okay how it is. And Fire has display. We want displays in back. As Fire has Dragon's Breath, right? And Dragon's Breath already is you can kind of Dragon's Breath Sheep. It already has that, right? It already has the ability to run in Dragon's Breath Sheep. That combo already exists as Fire Mage. Like that's already in the game. So maybe Fire, you give Fire Blazing Speed. You don't necessarily give Fire Deep Freeze. From my perspective, Frost is the one that can't operate without Deep Freeze, at least in a way that's really fun and enjoyable. I mean, to not have a Dragon's Breath, to not have a Mass Invis, to not have a Living Bomb, to not have a Blazing Speed. Essentially, the spec is you have to sit in the open and cast Frost Bolts for it to be effective in PvP. And I think Frost, to me, is the most broken spec in terms of fun. And in terms of viability, of course it's going to be good. If you're playing with a Warlock and a Shaman, you're dampening, you have Blizzards and Orbs, sure. I just personally believe that Frost mages shouldn't operate where you have a lot of just AoE slow damage. I think Frost should be lethal burst with Frostbolt Ice Knight Shatter combos, kind of how it was in Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, and Mist of Pandaria, and we moved away from that in Warlords.
So this is like when we talk about this, this is the same response I get in my chat. I'm just looking at the chat right now, and it's like, what are you talking about? Mages already have Nova, dude. Are you crazy? Like they have Nova, they have Poly. How are they gonna get Defreeze? Are you crazy? They're already so OP. Like just play with a sub rogue and you get a stun. It's like, I think it's a weird position to take personally that classes should be losing utility and losing fun things that they can actually set themselves up with instead of like giving classes stuff. So I've been playing Warrior a lot, and when I play Warrior, I'm like, holy God, like Shadowlands Warrior looks so crazy, and Shadow Priest as well. Like they've gotten so many tools that make them feel more fluid, makes it feel like they have more outplay, and honestly, they can just do wild things with these new abilities that they've gotten. And I think every class should be pushed to that position, not, oh my God, mages were good in BFA. They were good for, in my opinion, mages, especially like Frost Mage, was good for the wrong reason. Like,
right, yeah.
It wasn't good for the right reason. And I think even
people behind pillars.
yeah, like the Frost Mage playstyle in Battle for Azeroth was run and snare and just attack and just hope that in dampening your attacks, you're just weaning them enough and your attacks add up to you win in dampening. I mean, I saw it play out over and over and over in these tournaments that I commentated, and even I played a lot of Mage as well, obviously. So, having a spell like Deep Freeze that actually lets you kind of push the pace.
Yep.
I think also when people think about Deep Freeze, there's one thing that they don't really consider a lot, especially when you talk about like, oh my God, like Arcane doesn't need Deep Freeze and Fire doesn't need Deep Freeze. That's crazy talk. But you have to consider how you actually set Deep Freeze up. You can only use Deep Freeze on a frozen target. So a spec like Arcane and Fire, you have a Nova to Deep Freeze them. If they freedom that Nova, if they dispel that Nova. Because when I talk about Deep Freeze, I'm talking about Deep Freeze that's off or that's on global. And I think Deep Freeze got a little crazy when it was off global, but if you have to like Nova, weighted global, and deep them, there actually is room. There's time to Tiger's Lust, dispel yourself, freedom yourself. Then it becomes actually hard to pull off getting a Deep Freeze. Frost is a little bit different, but there's an opportunity cost there where you're giving up like a Fingers of Frost proc. So
Yep.
I think these are things that you really have to think about.
And keep in mind, we're talking about opportunity cost just to stun, right? Like trying to Nova, using 2 globals to just stun Nova, hope it does thing and dispelled, and then stun as an Arcane Mage, for example. And I mean, that's what people don't want in the game, right? And whereas every other class can just stun. So I don't think it's like this crazy pushing the envelope idea to give mages a stun so that we can feel like a whole class again and not feel like a support class. Not like Ziqo was mentioning, hey, can you stun the pally so I can play my class, right? Once the stun on the pally goes off, then I can sheep and then we can start doing damage. But you can't play your class until your partners come in and go and do that. Every other class, you know, can kidney one guy, vanish cheap shot. I mean, you're controlling multiple people. Shadow Priest, silence one, disarm the other. Or I call it disarm, but it's Psychic Core, the stun. Stun the other, right? And fear off, like all these different things, right? Warlocks, fear, Shadow Fury, coil, hunters. Like every class, it's the same thing. But then you look at mages. Mages are the one class that doesn't have that. Mages are doing nothing. Go for it, Ziqo.
I was just gonna say, also like you're 100% right, but how fun is it to be a sub rogue right now?
Oh man,
that's my question. Like, how fun is it to be a sub rogue? You're literally just a stun bot. Like your job is just stun everything. All right, AFK. Yep. All right, can you guys play the game? We can play the game. All right, let's play the game. All right, like. That's all you do. You don't do any damage. You don't do anything. You're just stunning. You're just kidneying the healer into a sap, into a resap, into a duel, into a smoke bomb, into a blind. Like, bro, what? You don't do anything.
Yeah. I mean, so I think a lot of people think not like the argument that we hear a lot is not every class needs everything. So. I mean, for that, what do you think, Venruki? Like, does not every class need a stun? If that's the case, then should we have other classes without stuns besides just mages, or
start pruning stuns from everybody? No, it is weird because we have had. I mean, I've played this game a long time. Played every single expansion. I've gotten Gladiator or higher in every single expansion. This isn't like an appeal to authority, but I'm telling you right now, there's times in the game where. There was a time in the game where mages had presence of mind, instant polymorph, which you could alter time and instantly instantly ring of frost someone. So you could like pet nova someone, palm sheep the healer, alter back, palm ring the other guy, deep freeze the third guy instantly, imp counterspell him out of that. You had imp counterspell as well. And guess what? Mages weren't winning every game. Believe it or not, mages actually weren't winning every game. So to think that it would be completely unreasonable, and I think when people talk about deep freeze too, it's like, oh man, deep freeze is just so dumb. You can just deep and sheep the healer. Well, these things already exist. You can dragon's breath, sheep. Like, yeah, I can't tell you how many times on my mage I just blink behind a pillar, dragon's breath the entire team, and triple ring them. Like, you can do that already. Like, these things already exist within the game.
Coil and the fear, Shadow Fury fear, scatter trap. I mean, dragon's breath sheep. Kidney sap, I mean, the blind sap, the list goes on. This is how the game operates, right? And I think Mage needs that to feel like a fully operating class again. And yeah, we're not saying that blanket counterspell, palm, deep, all of it, but being able to control multiple things at once and then burst and then reset and control and then burst is Mage. In my opinion, that's how we saw it operate in so many expansions. In Burning Crusade, Wrath of Lich King, Mr. Pandaria, we saw that how Mage operate in that way, and it was so fun. And I think we lost that in Warlords of Draenor, and I think one of the main things that we got instead was Comet Storm and Ice Nova. And for me personally, and I'm really curious how you guys feel about this, but for me personally, Comet Storm and Ice Nova, like, take it. Like, they're not fun to press. They're medium damage AoE abilities. All right, so if you're looking at things just a very
I think medium is generous.
Yeah, so if you have like small damage, medium damage, high damage, and if you have AoE or single target, right? If we're breaking down abilities like that, we have maybe smaller medium damage abilities that are AoE. In my opinion, Frost should have high single target damage. So high single target burst, right? Ice Lance, Frostbolt, Shatter combos, right? So to have medium damage AoE just feels so wrong. It's like this violation of Frost Mage. It's like, this shouldn't be here. Something isn't right about Comet Storm and Ice Nova. So in my opinion, how you fix the spec is you don't just give it everything. You take away Comet Storm, take away Ice Nova, take away even Ray of Frost if you want. Take away some of these abilities that aren't fun to operate, and it to me it violates the class as how it's supposed to feel. And then give it Deep Freeze, right? Give it Blazing Speed. Give it these things with high burst. Give those old school Frostbolt Shatter combos some sustenance again. And then we have Mage. Then we have Frost Mage back, right? As this class that feels and operates really effectively. And I think that doesn't happen by just giving it every button. That happens by taking away the things that aren't making it feel how it's supposed to feel and giving it the identity of Frostbolt Ice Lance, of Shatter combos, and of that Deep Freeze, right? So I think there's give and take here, and you take away the stuff that Comet Storm and Ice Nova. What do you guys think?
I mean, I like the utility of Ice Nova. I like that you can use it to like slow down other people, like mid mobility and stuff. But yeah, I don't. Comet Storm is like it's another one of those. It's like, yeah, you press it. I feel like if I lose it, I wouldn't care. Like if I lost it and I got deep, that's any day of the week I would take that trade,
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I feel like we should just get Ice Nova baseline. I feel like it doesn't actually do anything.
And Comet Storm.
It's a utility spot. I feel like the same thing for like Supernova. Like Supernova right now, they put it on the same tier as Arcane Orb. So who in their right mind is ever going to pick Supernova now? It's just a dead talent. I don't know. I feel like those talents are actually fun. Like they're fun because they're like a bit unique, having like a talent that can knock people and interrupt their cast or slow them down while they're in the middle of a roll or a cheek or bit or whatever. I think that's like it adds a little bit of extra skill. I don't think like we should remove that. I think we should just get it for free.
Yeah. I mean, what I personally like, and I touched on this about an hour ago, is a class that synergizes really well with itself. And that sounds a little silly saying, but what I mean by that is like Arcane, you have like amplification and then Arcane pummeling, and then Arcane empowerment, and then you're like mentally thinking like, wow, my Arcane missiles are like, I'm an Arcane missile mage, like I can just missile these guys down. And with fire, with the way mastery works, and with fire blast and pyros and meteors and combustion, you're really stacking all of these things to all at the same time to be like, wow, I can do this really cool thing with my class. And Mr. Pandaria, Frost Mage was like that. You put up the Incanters, the Frost Novas, the Shatters. I think now it's like, okay, one guy CC'd, your rogue blinds the healer and kidneys the guy you're on, right? What do you do? Well, I could Orb, Comet Storm, Ice Nova, Ray of Frost. Like, what am I doing here? Like my Frostbolt Ice Lancing, like Frost Mages to me are just like the most confused spec. Like why do we have a Comet and medium sized AoE abilities? Like where's the burst? Why can't I just like put down an orb and spam lances or give some identity back to burst?
Well, you can actually.
Yeah, well, I guess but then you just don't use Comet and Ice Nova, which, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. The way I kind of think about Frost Mages right now is you have all these different like burst options. There's no like clear path to victory. It's like, okay, this go I'm going to use Comet Storm and Ice Nova, and I'm going to use my on-use Trinket. This go I'm going to have full Icicles and like a Frozen Orb, and it's like you always constantly have to like figure out like what is, you can't use them all either, otherwise you don't have damage for like another minute, so you have to be really, really careful about that. It is kind of weird. Yeah, I do agree with Ziqo. The thing I like about Ice Nova isn't even the fact that it does damage. I just like the fact that it has like some utility to like kind of, I think there's some outplay. Ice Nova, someone that's flying Serpent Kick, stuff like that is like a really impactful play that I would personally feel bad missing it, but I think getting some of these abilities baseline would be big. Like having to spec into Meteor as a Fire Mage, having to spec into Comet Storm, it doesn't feel good.
I think, like, this is a little bit of a side point here, but because we were kind of on the topic, like, I feel like doing damage in general feels so bad right now. Like, I feel like fire is maybe the only one where it's like, okay, it feels good. You pop your combustion and your rotation feels good.
Yeah.
But even there, like Phoenix Flames not being 100% crit feels terrible.
Oh yeah, that
it doesn't crit, then you lose your heating up, you lose burst, so you don't even want to press it. Like that should be 100% crit for sure, or not like be affected at all, but on your heating up.
Right.
That's the only real DPS issue I have with fire when I'm just playing the spec doing damage. Arcane though. Bro, all you do is press missiles. You don't do anything. You press Arcane Blast. It does less damage than missiles. You go more than you do when you press missiles. Like it's literally a one button rotation right now. And for Frost, I really love the new flurry change, but this has been in the game for so long now, and it pisses me off a lot. Number one, the mastery. I mean, I hate it. Number two, AoE damage in your single target rotation is awful. Like Blizzard, all of these cleave abilities, man, just give me single target burst damage.
Yep.
That's all I want. I don't want to be a mage that all I'm doing is just running away from everyone, slowing them so they can't do anything. And then when they run back behind the pillar, then I use my AoE damage, and then like slowly I win the game. Like I feel like that's terrible. Give me a stand that can stand the healer into a sheep, or sheep the healer and stand the DPS. Give him a fatty shatter, take him down. That's how it used to be, man. I want that.
Yeah, and I think just to clarify again, we've said this a couple times, but we're not like Ziqo. I don't think is saying mages are bad, right? A lot of people like,
No.
mages are bad. They're just wrong, right? It's like we don't want to put Blizzard on a pillar and throw an orb. We want to be able to actually play the game and have fun with. Yeah.
Yes.
It's actually a real play. By the way, it's a real play. Just for people wondering, to just at the beginning of a game, just throw an orb out to snare people. Like the damage is so like meaningless in a lot of situations where first global heal is just the orb, the pillar. Even though you know it's going to do nothing and not contribute to a win in any way, just snaring people is like, yeah, getting ready to set foot into dampening. Like, here's your orb, enjoy the snare. That should never be the case. Using a damage ability just for like the little snare that goes out because it's not actually a significant damage ability.
Yeah, I mean, so for me personally, I agree with Ziqo said it so well. Fire feels like the smoothest spec out of the three, right? All of the abilities synergize really well. The rotation feels smooth. I mean, you have damage every go, but some goes you have a ton of damage. Some goes maybe not so much. It just feels good. The spec feels really nice. It's fluid. It's great. The one thing that's awkward is Phoenix Flames. You don't really press it. I actually just uploaded a YouTube video like yesterday, and someone goes, "Dude, you never press Phoenix Flames." I'm like, right, that was on purpose. Like, just don't press it. But I think Arcane, with you just spam missiles and Frost, man, like something about the spec being good with just throwing down blizzards and orbs. Like at that point, like let's just nerf it then. Like I don't want it to be good in that way. No one's having fun. The mage isn't having fun. The opponents are having fun. No one's having fun. So if that's the
not
case,
very engaging.
It's not engaging for anyone. So for everyone in the chat that's maybe disagreeing with the point, like maybe you'll agree with me here. Let's nerf mages then. Let's nerf that playstyle. That should not exist, right? Let's get mages back to how mage should feel, right? Having that deep freeze, having that burst, but not having these crazy just AoE dampening slow games. So let's have fast pace. Let's have burst. Let's have kind of things back to where they were. So I mean, I guess we're kind of repeating a lot of the same thing, but I do think to emphasize that point is probably pretty critical.
Well, yeah, I just feel like there's glaring problems, like very obvious problems with all three specs. Fire has the least. Like with Fire, it's only just the one thing really, which is like make Phoenix Flames 100% crit or make it not consume your hot streak. Either way, like if they're really good, then make it so it doesn't consume the hot streak and it doesn't crit. If it's underwhelming, then buff it and make it so it always crits. I feel like on that, whatever. So for Fire, it feels pretty good all across the board.
Yep.
But for like Frost, casting like AoE spells all the time, that's a huge issue. And for Arcane especially, like the design of Arcane is so weird actually. Like they changed so many things to just be worse. Like I don't know. The missile thing is for sure the biggest issue with the entire spec. The fact that your damage rotation is just press missiles, like press Arcane Explosion, hope you get clear casts. Like that's terrible. They need to do something. Like ever since they made Arcane Blast have a less cast time, but also do less damage, it's just it feels never worth to press it unless you have every modifier in the game down. And also, I don't like modifiers in PvP in general, like Rune of Power. The Rune of Power change, I feel like it shouldn't be a thing for PvP. Like that shit should be gutted in PvP. I really don't think standing and modifiers have a place in Arena because it makes it so your baseline abilities can't do damage. Because if your baseline ability does too much damage, or like it does good damage, like let's say Frostbolt does like 20% of someone's HP. Well, if you have Rune, Ice Form, Veins, you have everything.
Shatter.
deep shatter, and all of a sudden your Frostbolt 100 zeros him, so you can never balance that. So just delete modifiers or nerf them super heavily in PvP.
Yeah, that's like one of the things. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. But even just looking at like, it's kind of crazy to the point we've gotten. Like playing Arcane Mage and one-shotting with like an Arcane Barrage. Like the modifiers you have was literally like you had 15% or higher because of resonance on your Arcane Barrage. You had a modifier on having multiple charges of Arcane Barrage. You had a modifier on using Arcane Power. You had a modifier on using Ruin of Power. You had an on-use trinket, which gave you 20% versatility, another modifier. And then you had a 600%. Then you had a 600% damage modifier on Arcane Barrage. And it's like, how on earth can Arcane Barrage ever do damage when you have modifiers in the game that are increasing the damage by literally 1,000% or something like that? It's like it's completely crazy. So I think modifiers in general for every single class in PvP specifically should go way down, and consistent damage should go up. And that's not even a mage thing. I think that's just a PvP thing.
I completely agree. That is like a much larger issue. That's not necessarily mage. That's just like across the board. I think just a theme that we've seen like in classic WoW. If you just do a Frostbolt, like that could be scary. It doesn't have to be with every single cooldown, right? Just being able to kill at any point.
I think there's big consequences. Like Ziqo said, it really feels like to me. I mean, I even did tests before we hopped on this call. I did some tests where I took off all my Azerite traits and all my essences, and I just pressed missiles on someone, and then I spammed Arcane Blast on them. Arcane Blast killed them slower and put me out of mana. I couldn't even kill them before going out of mana. That's how little damage it does, and it kills them slower than just pressing missiles over and over and over. And that is just, when you look at that, what is the point of Arcane Blast? And it really feels like the only point of it is, or it really feels like to me, the only balance that ability has is when it's being balanced with overpowered 50% plus damage, Ruin of Power, all these modifiers in PvE actually have like crept over now to PvP, and unfortunately you have like the main part of your rotation literally do nothing, which really sucks.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I saw something too with Arcane PvE where they were only pressing missiles, or did I misread that?
That was just pre-patch, and it was because of the Azerite trait.
Okay, so that's not okay. Just a touch too. I guess we thus far we haven't talked about mage talents, just normal talents and PvP talents, not any of the Soulbinds conduits or legendaries. I think it's a little funny. So we haven't seen any new talents. Like the spec for Arcane Frost and Fire is the same. Do you guys agree? There's not
no, they added. They did a few things with Arcane. They added Enlightened, which is basically.
No, he's talking.
No, I mean
talking
like
PvP talents.
Oh, PvP talents. Oh yeah, they didn't change anything.
Well, I guess for both though, like you're pretty much picking the exact same spec for all three, right? I guess I guess Master of Time and Enlightened might be the two that are a little different. But for as far as all three specs go, I think what we're locking in. Actually, I'll show the stream. What we're probably going to be locking in are the same specs that we've seen for a while now, right? I mean,
yeah, pretty much. I mean, the only difference really is that they put Resonance in the same tier as Netta Tempest, and then they moved Netta Tempest from the Arcane Orb tier, and they put Supernova there instead of where Charged Up used to be. So now you can get essentially Resonance, which you didn't really before because you picked the Charged Up instead of Resonance, or you picked Supernova. And I guess you can get Supernova and Resonance at the same time, and also Enlightened being a real talent, and they buff Time Anomaly as well. So I haven't played too much Time Anomaly, but I feel like it's a real talent as well.
It's all I play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it being good because the Bloodlust thing is actually really worth.
It's like all three of them are good. Like even just getting mana back, it makes it so you like never go You're just randomly evoing and getting your mana back, or getting Bloodlust or getting Arcane Power. Like all of them are super good. The only thing I cry about with that talent is it should not work if you're out of combat, because damn, it's annoying. Damn, it's annoying. Just running around, just proccing lust and shit. Like, yeah.
Overpowered, is it 33% in arena?
Overpowered is terrible in arena.
Yeah.
Overpowered over enlightened is a 5% damage differential.
Yeah, 5%. So for people watching, overpowered. So in arena, arcane powered is 20% instead of 30, and overpowered makes it I think 33. Enlightened gives you 8% more,
Yeah.
so it's giving you
Makes it
28. So you're only getting 5% more damage on an arcane power with overpowered over enlightened. So you pretty much just always play enlightened, and then time anomaly is this interesting thing like Venruki was talking about. Like maybe it will be worth in some situations to where you're getting, the time warps or evos or arcane powers. But I think overpowered is just never good, ever good. And then it's very similar with Rune of Power and Canners. Like Rune of Power and Incanners are like a very similar thing. And Canners just seems like better like every single time still.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I
don't
feel
know.
like I think Rune is actually better right now. When you AP, you just spawn it instantly.
Is
And
it
it's like
is it
pretty
20% or 30?
Oh, it's 30.
30, yeah.
So you get 30% when
You get it
you're
with
casting.
your combust. You pop up combust, you have 30% more damage. It's pretty insane.
But 30% on a combust versus 4 to 15 always. When sometimes you have to blink right after a combust, or I just, and then some goes you don't have combust, or with arcane it's just you don't have arcane power every go. I don't know. To me, Canners just seems so much better.
Yeah, for Arcane, actually, I do like one hardcast rune go with touch, and then I do one AP go usually. And it works like pretty well, but
So,
I don't know. I haven't
for me
tested
personally-
incanters that much, but they nerfed incanters, didn't they? As well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's,
I was just gonna say I don't actually like casting anything except arcane missiles as arcane, so I don't like playing Rune of Power personally.
yeah.
Okay.
I was talking to Volts, and Volts is arcane mage on NA, and he was saying the same thing. And Canners and Lighten auto lock in, like it's just
Really? I really think Time Anomaly is insane. That's all I play.
I don't think time anomaly. Oh yeah, time anomaly for sure. I thought you were gonna say Master of Time.
No, I think Master of Time is crazy too. So we can disagree there, which is fine.
I mean, maybe
But,
it is. We'll see. I think if it is good, it's because of the Ventir thing, like the Ventir teleport, kind of making you not as crippled, having the same mobility as you did in Classic.
I think if someone can't dispel, it's the most broken thing in the entire game.
Yeah, for
Having
sure.
a 30-second alter time, it's completely overpowered. It's great.
100%.
1/3 of the game you're altered because it's like a 10-second duration.
Well, you have temp as well, you know.
You have
as,
temp too, yeah.
Arcane.
Yeah. And then, arcane talents, I guess we can discuss like a little bit. Like there are things like Time Anomaly versus Enlightened versus Rune Powers. So I guess there are things that we could kind of discuss. But once we look at fire talents, I think we can agree they're untouched, right? I mean, we're the same exact spec as we've seen. Do you have anything to say there, Ben? I mean, it's just the same. All right, yeah.
Rune of Poggers. It's like the question mark is Rune of Poggers. Everything else is the same. IMO.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then for Frost, I mean, it's like the same spec that we've seen a couple expansions now, I think. Is there any differences here?
I think it's pretty much the same thing. Like there's going to be games where you like people ask me all the time like why do you play Pet? And I think Pet's still really really good. I think the utility of Ice Nova and Pet Nova to break up mobility it's really strong. There's no question. But I do like it does feel like if you are playing kind of the no pet spec, you do quite a bit of damage. So I think that's nice, but other than that it's there's no difference between it's the same exact thing in BFA. Like you already had that.
Yeah, so I guess to the larger point, there might be like a few things that like might not be 100% agreed on, but between Arcane, Fire, and Frost, all three specs end up the end result being the exact same thing. So I guess that's just a little underwhelming, but we do get a lot of like the legendary Soulbinds and Conduits, which are definitely we're all looking forward for that. To that, so
I'm really hoping we get some PvP talent changes. Like, I think that's the thing that makes me the most sad is just picking the same talents 3 expansions in a row, and a lot of them are just like boring too.
New ones.
If you want to have like a really, I told you this actually on your stream. I don't know if you actually did it. You want to have a really really fun time. Go look at Arms Warrior PvP talents and then compare them to Mage PvP talents. Like Arms Warrior, there's only one talent that's completely dead. But every other one is like, oh my god, that's how every class should be. Like, holy crap, I have to give up. Should I go disarm or should I go warband, or like should I play Overwatch, or like every single talent feels like, oh my god, I'm missing out, but also holy shit, this is so insane. And mage talents are not that. They're really lackluster, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Some of them are cool. Like I think Mass Invis is one of the coolest PvP talents mages have.
I agree.
100%.
100%, yeah. I agree.
You can make a lot of fat plays with mass invis.
But I'd like to see
I really
more.
like that we got touch back as well, or like I like that we got touch with the Mandra as well. I actually think it's really cool. I just don't like that we lost charge up and displacement, especially displacement. I think the displacement loss made Arcane like 65% less fun.
Yeah.
Just losing that one ability.
I agree. I think displacement was super cool. I always saw your clips on Twitter where you were like would put it displaced near a Mistweaver port and like port back with him and then sheep him.
Oh my god, so fun.
You could do it mid cast too. It was cool.
You could farm Twitter highlights with displacement.
Displacement was cool and we lost it, and temp was cool and we lost it. I think that's what it's like. Some of the really cool abilities. But yeah, well, I don't know. So that's Arcane, Frost, Fire. That's all the legendary soulbinds and conduits. There is a lot of stuff to talk about in Shadowlands. I did not know we were going to go this long. It's over 2 hours now talking about just Mage. What a deep dive. That was great.
Oh.
Is there any other closing thoughts you guys have about anything that we might have missed over? Different Mage talents, thoughts?
My biggest concerns right now for Arcane, like just overall, like Arcane missiles rotation makes no sense. Like it's good for sure, but it makes no sense, and it's like kind of fun to play, but it doesn't make any sense, so it's not fun in that regard. Phoenix Flames needs to be changed. 100% agree with Ziqo. They either need to make it always crit, or it needs to not affect hot streak, because it always feels bad to press right now unless you get a lucky crit. Then it feels good, but if you don't get a crit, it's always bad. And then for Frost Mage, hopefully they don't do the one flurry thing, or I'll be really sad. Bring back Deep Freeze, nerf Shimmer, Blazing Speed. These are things I'd like to see, you know?
Yeah, maybe remove Blizzard from the single target rotation. Maybe Combat Storm, give us Ice Nova baseline. A few things like that.
A little here, a little there. Oh, and PvP talents. I don't know about you guys. 15% crit damage, not that PogChamp. Like it's the dot damage, not that exciting either. These things are not engaging. They're not exciting. I'm sorry to say. Please give us like something else.
Please.
One more quick thing on Arcane. They buffed slow. It feels so weird now. Because you have to keep Chrono Shift up by spamming Barrage, but your slow is 60%, so you also have to slow people. So now you have two slows that you're essentially spamming. So it's like all you're doing is just running around, pressing 2 instants and spamming missiles.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You can't make bad plays with displacement anymore. So you're just like, I feel like that they should probably take a look at that.
Yeah, slows and then spell steals and then spam instant faking until they have no kicks left, and you get a sheep and win the game, and then missiles.
Well, if you get clear casting and win the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Arcane. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think we've said it all, guys. We've talked about every conduit, soulbind, legendary, all 3 specs, talents, and honor talents. These are our thoughts moving on to the expansion, guys. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out in the stream. And if you guys are watching this recorded, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, leave a comment below with your thoughts about the expansion, and just thanks for hanging out and support. And if you guys want to check out Ziqo and Venruki, can we get their social medias linked in the chat and down below? I think that'd be super awesome. And thanks for hanging out, guys, and doing this. This was awesome.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah.
I really like this.
Yeah, we need to do this more. Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Well, cheese, and thanks for hanging, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next expansion when we do this again.
Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys are new to the channel, consider following. Going to be making lots of Mage and other content on the channel regarding WoW. So if you're interested, definitely check it out. And make sure if you're from my channel, you go follow Xaryu and Ziqo as well. They're going to be doing lots of cool YouTube things with Shadowlands. But yeah, if you like the video, and let me know what your thoughts are on Mage in the comments section. And once again, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.